Okay, hello everyone. We're going to start Sparse Equality and Inclusion Advisory Board meeting. It's Tuesday, May 9th, and it is, the time is 5:39. We're going to do call to order and then roll call.
Elvira Diaz,
Here?
T-Tran.
Here.
Roberto Castillo,
Present.
Jarrell Green, Rose Mesa,
Here.
Akia Sanders, Michael Scherzer.
Absent.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to go to item 3, public comments. If anyone would like to say a public comment? Look like it's not, so I'm going to item number 4, approval for the agenda, and we need to, possible action. Who wants to approve the agenda? Let's see.
T-Tran, I'll move to approve. Thanks.
So, somebody second?
Rose Meza for the record. Oh, just kidding. Go ahead.
Roberto Castillo, for the record, I second the motion.
Okay, so, yes, so let's vote. And it's unanimous, and then I move to approve the agenda as submitted, so it's moved. Next item. Consideration or discussion and possible approval of the minute of Sparks. Motion approved. Right?
Motion to approve.
Motion
Someone needs to
approve.
move.
Motion.
Roberto Castillo, for the record, move to approve.
T-Tran, second.
Vote. Result pass unanimously with the quorum that we have here. We're going to have a presentation. Alison?
Thank you, Chair Diaz and board members. For the record, I'm Allison McCormick, your Assistant City Manager for Management Services. As you know, last year, this board identified conducting a community survey as a top priority. We worked together to develop categories of information and possible questions for that survey. And ultimately, this board recommended that the city issue a request for proposals, or RFP, for consultants to conduct a statistically valid and representative survey in the Sparks community. In March of this year, the city issued that RFP, the substance of which is included with your agenda packet. We received 6 responses. The respondents are listed in the staff report. A panel of city staff members scored those responses using the scoring sheet that is also included in your agenda packet. After that scoring process and some additional research into the top scoring proposers, that included conferring with some of the references listed, staff is recommending proceeding with the proposal from ETC Institute. ETC Institute has more than 40 years of experience in conducting community surveys nationwide. They've used that experience to generate data from like communities that they can use to benchmark against Sparks once they've conducted our initial survey. They have strong references from the City of Henderson, Nevada staff, and some experience with limited surveys in Northern Nevada, specifically with the City of Reno. They also proposed concrete strategies for reaching demographic groups that are typically underrepresented in feedback that the city receives, including an oversampling option. Staff is recommending that the board recommend pursuing the proposal with ETC Institute as the consultant for the community survey project. If the board does make that recommendation, the next steps would be to finalize the scope of work and contract documents with ETC Institute, and then take those contract documents forward for approval. Once that final contract is approved by both parties, ETC Institute would begin the work of actually developing and conducting the survey. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
T-Tran, for the record. Thanks, Allison. So can you tell me, what is the financial impact? I looked and it's just blank. So what did they
So
propose?
under the terms of the RFP, with advice from our procurement manager, the actual pricing information is confidential until we finalize those contract documents. I can tell you that we budgeted $60,000 and it was under budget, to include the oversampling option.
Okay, so we budgeted 60,000. Is that just, how did you guys come to that number?
I have a guesstimate.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, and so just because we're still in the selection process, we can't, we don't get to know how much they said. That's weird. Okay. Man, 60 grand. But they came in under 60 grand.
Yes.
So they came in at 59,999.
I will tell you that they were neither the highest price nor the lowest price.
Okay. All right. Yep, thank you.
Olvara Diaz for the record. My question is, can you tell me one highlight? What ETC Institute was better than the other ones? Or what you guys think is better than the other?
You know, I think it's hard to pick one, so I'll pick three. The reference they listed from the city of Henderson is someone I work very closely with in the legislative session in Nevada. So I very much trust and respect the opinion of all of the Henderson staff that I work with in that context, and this person in particular. So that was a highlight for me. Their experience and their benchmarking data, to not just see how our residents think we're doing, but how we're doing in comparison to other similar cities. You know, because if 70% of people think that the streets are terrible, like that doesn't mean much unless we know that in similar sized cities, it's only 40%. So that would tell us, you know, maybe we're not spending enough on streets as an example. So I think that benchmarking data at least has great potential to be very important. And then the last, and I think probably the most relevant to this body, is some of the strategies that they had for reaching a diverse audience and getting statistically valid data from some of the minority groups that are in Sparks. I would say that all of the proposals mentioned how important that was, but none came with, you know, the numerical representation that they suggested in their oversampling proposal. So that very much stood out to me as a good indication that this is something they've dealt with and have dealt with effectively and have the data to back that up.
Thank you.
Roberto Castillo for the record. So just quickly, in regards to, they're not the highest or the lowest, the lower one, was it significantly lower in costs? Or was it fairly close with whoever, how many panels did you guys, or how many companies did you guys reach out to?
There were 6 that submitted proposals, including ETC Institute.
Okay. And was there a large margin of cost between?
There was. Yes.
Rose Meza for the record. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to be able to get a good outlook on the company that was chosen to be able to provide this survey to the community. Just quickly skimming over the proposal that was given to us. It looks like pretty much it covers a lot of the things we discussed prior, right? But I'm just worried that this will be overwhelming to the community. And perhaps this is, again, just a proposal, right? So perhaps it'll just be more concise when they finalize everything and so on. But my concern is, one, it'll be too overwhelming for someone to want to finish it. Are we considering possibly a reward for people that finish? I know, for example, you know how like some people get a COVID vaccine and then they get, depending on where they get it from, they'll give them like a $30 gift card to Walmart. Are we considering any type of, I guess, objective as such?
That was not part of their proposal. You know, I think given their experience in the field, we will certainly rely on their recommendations as far as paring down that survey content to a level that is manageable for folks, and, you know, won't scare too many people away.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
T-Tran, one more question. Did they give, and I might have missed it, but did they give an idea of how long this would take to, like how long they're gonna sample for and what they're, you know?
They did. I do not
Okay.
have that information in front of me. It was a handful of months.
Okay.
And that timeline was not particularly distinguishable from any of the other proposals. They were all, you know, 3 to 4 months.
Okay. Okay.
I
Perfect.
apologize. I
No,
don't
no,
have that
it's, like I
information with
said,
me.
I'm sure I saw it in here, but I just was,
I actually am not sure that I included it in there,
oh,
so
okay.
I apologize.
No worries.
Okay. Okay, do we need to vote, right, for,
Yes, this one is agendized for action, so the suggested motion should be up there.
do we have motion to approve this peak of the ETC Institute?
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yes.
Roberto Castillo for the record. My only question is lack of previous, I know you brought up the cost, Representative T. I'm just curious, is this something that we're gonna look back on and possibly have some adverse feeling about how much money was spent on this lengthy assessment from a diverse community that may be apprehensive and a lot of questioning? Or is it right in task with spending $60,000 when I think one of the big things within the city that our fellow Allison here always notes that there's always a very limited budget is always brought up. And that's my only question. I don't know if that's a high number or a low number or a complicated questionnaire or a simple questionnaire. You know, I just hope that with my limited scope of doing this type of stuff, is that gonna be a worthwhile enough thing to spend that kind? And I don't know if 60,000 is right on the mark. You go out and buy a car right now, depending on the type of car you get, that's the cost. That's the best analogy I could give it, but I would ask you guys what you guys' thoughts are on.
Allison, is this up for discussion? I know it says for possible action. Are we allowed to kind of discuss
Absolutely.
and amend said motion if we feel, yes, we can. Well, or.
Within certain bounds, yes.
That's what I guess that's what I'm
Yes.
trying to, I know what
Yeah.
he's saying. So
Yeah.
I guess there's two parts to this, right? And this is where, and when we first talked about this, the RFPs, when we put these RFPs out, it's, we're leaving it up to experts in their field to dictate to us what is deemed, normal in that scope. And so with Allison saying, okay, we put a cap of 60,000, it sounds like that was a kind of an arbitrary number that we picked out, or did we kind of?
Yeah.
Okay, because did we try and look at other cities and go, well, this is what they spent on a survey, this is what I'm assuming where we kind of drew
Yes.
a loose parameter from.
Yes,
It wasn't just like, well, 100,000 sounds good. There was some benchmark, but city size and things like that obviously dictate different kinds of.
Right. We looked at a handful of cities who had done recent community surveys, kind of the breadth that we had discussed, and looked at the contract documents for their vendor, and, kind of
So that's the,
picked a guesstimate.
Roberto Castillo for the record. And I guess my question would be this, in buying anything, a home, a car, sending your kids off to college, everything is based on measuring twice and cutting once. Again, limited scope of funds for the city that we're always being mentioned, which is completely valid. I just want to make sure that however it's decided, because I honestly don't know. zero knowledge. It sounds like it's a good program from a good company with good previous results from an individual that you have worked and have a high level of confidence in their feedback of the company, which are all great things. I'm just, again, I don't know if there's a way to assess, even with the company coming in and talking to us briefly to explain to us maybe the grandeur or simplicity of the 60,000. I don't know. I mean, it may be an invalid question,
For sure.
but I just know that we have a good amount of people in the city with a pretty wide background of individuals. So it may not be that easy, and you may need that kind of an expense in order to get enough of a thorough assessment of all the thoughts, concerns, happiness, cumberness, whatever it is. I just don't know. That was my only question in regards to voting for it.
Yeah, no, and I think that, sorry, T-Tran for the record, I think that the second part of my initial response to you is, let's go back and think about where the premise of this came from. So what were we trying to accomplish as an advisory board? Getting a sampling of what the concerns were for the city is definitely a task. And I think we had talked about and kicked around a couple different ideas of what is the outreach? What does that look like? How do we do it effectively? And how do we measure said data, right? I obviously my first question was the cost. I'm hyper conscious about how that works in business in general, not just the city, but in general, right? Sure. And so I think then it goes back to, do we feel that a survey is the best way to do this? I mean, I think one of the things we kicked around was like, okay, staff, you guys think of a survey, and we'll do a QR code and we'll just kick it up from there, which is a doable thing. But then we questioned, would it be enough? So this is, I feel like, one of those things where if you're going to do it, you got to do it. However, we got to remember what we are trying to accomplish here. And I think what we're trying to accomplish is ensuring that there's avenues for the community to be heard. So does it need to be in a survey? I don't necessarily think so. I don't know if we can't reach out to the community without, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that this is the end all. I don't think this is the only answer. I do think it was an answer after some discussion, because I don't think it's fair for us to say, okay, staff, you get a project. That's not what we're here to do either. Essentially us saying, if we do recommend this to move forward, we're recommending it to move to city council, and city council can look at this and go, yeah, this is a great idea, or maybe this is not the priority. So what we're trying to,
Our position, Roberto Castillo for the record, what we're doing today is really more saying, here's what we're looking at, and now you guys decide on the actual utilization of the $60,000.
So
or whatever that number is to the city.
You are making a recommendation today.
Okay. and that's it.
If you go in line with what staff has recommended, we'll finalize those contract documents with ETC Institute and take those to city council for approval. If your recommendation is otherwise, then we'll regroup and figure out what's next. To your initial question, in my view, the expense is really an investment. We don't know what the parts of our community who aren't telling us or who we aren't reaching need, or what they think is important, or what kinds of features they want in the parks near their houses. We often only hear from 2 wards of the city, and we want to hear from all 5. So I really see this expenditure as an investment in getting those initial data points to figure out where we should invest our other funds, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Roberto Castillo for the record. So I am completely 100% on the same page that you are, Allison. Great investment, great assessment, very important. I think it'll bear fruit for decades to come. Benchmark, all of what we're doing here. Again, the only ask that I have, again, in just not knowing, are we buying a Duramax or are we buying a two-wheel drive pickup truck? I just don't know. Because I don't have any real point of reference for me to understand. 60,000 is literally dead spot, the cheapest you can find. We could actually spend more if we wanted to, which I'm sure you could. Or, and that's why I asked a question. Out of the 6 panels, and I know that it's confidential, but, this was number 4 out of 6, and 3 and 2 were $20,000 less expensive. That's more of my question to really understand, because at the end of the day, I don't know. You guys have helped me be on the board and launch your time here. I just want to make sure that whatever money that we are utilizing for the city, because we're actually basically saying yes to the expenditure from what you just said, Allison, correct?
You're recommending yes, but
Okay, so I just want to make sure.
semantics.
That it's a justified cost, because it's a lot of money. That's it.
Elvira Diaz, for the record, I really appreciate that you're concerned about spending money wisely. I think this group is beginning to understand serious parks, and then the population has been growing, and I think making survey is a lot of work. I've been working in surveys myself. I think 60,000 is a good price. Hopefully they give us a good service, and what I'd like to is that the city has experience with other cities in the same state using this data. So that's going to be advantage for our state. So maybe Sirius Park is a small city, so I think Sirius Park is going to be example other cities. So let's start correctly, and we just going to ask the city of Sparks if they approve this. So, but I want to be sure that everybody understands, and your question is very helpful, because I'm sure people who are seeing this, in the Facebook or whatever, they have the same questions. So the important is to kind of test how the city is, so everybody's been here, everybody pays taxes. So hopefully we can represent everyone. Thank you.
Rose Meza for the record. Just to be clear, so 60,000 is our budget, and then whatever is not used with this company for the survey is a pretty much open space for in case the survey doesn't get the results that we want. There's room for growth, so to say, so we could use that remaining amount to be able to accustom to probably get more results from the survey. Is that correct, from what am I understanding?
The gap between the 60,000 that we budgeted and the quoted price from ETC Institute would stay in the general fund. So if we needed it for additional survey work, it could be used for that. It comes from our community relations budget. So if our public information officer needed to use that for, say, advertising for targeted recruiting for hard-to-fill positions, those kinds of things, it could be used for essentially any government purpose.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question?
No, teacher, and for the record, so, Henderson, I just looked real quick, has a population of 320,000. We're at what, 109 and growing, obviously. So I think that's a fair, it's good to know that you've actually had a good testimony based on their services and things like that. I think that that's important. And again, with RFPs, it's kind of tricky. We're asking them to tell us, what they're good at. So we're going to trust in that. I trust that staff has gone through all of the RFPs, and that's a super not fun process. I get that. So I appreciate that. Thank you. So I mean, so I just want to make sure that this board is clear of what we're trying to do right now and what the action is, which is we're saying as the advisory board, hey, city council, we think that this is a good idea. We believe that this is an investment. The city's never done a community survey?
No.
Okay. And that was the other thing, too. We're probably past due on doing something like that, especially with the exponential growth in the city. you know, so, and you remember, I don't know if you guys remember, back in December, I was like, I don't want to do a survey. So,
We remember that, we remember
I knew
that.
it was going to cost money. I knew it was going to be all this stuff, and that's okay. But you know what? It's probably time. So I just want, for clarity, everyone to, you know, just know and feel comfortable with what we're doing, because this is really the first motion that we're giving to council as a board. So feel good about it.
Roberto Castillo for the record. So again, just to reiterate what I totally overdue, totally justified, very functional. Is there even a way that we can possibly, even if we vote today, to recommend to the city to go ahead and spend this money, however close it is to the $60,000 mark? But is there a way that we can possibly get some kind of assessment from Henderson or even from the company that is looking to do the study of a sample expense versus city size or scope of anything at all that would give us some kind of, so that the day that somebody asks, hey, why did we spend a bunch of money on this overdue, super worthwhile survey, it's justified by, this is a normal metric. I guess that's my paramount question is 60,000 commensurate to what we're looking to do, which we think is a very important thing for the future of the city of Sparks?
So all of the proposals included a level of confidence that they expected to gain from their sample size as proposed. And they were very similar. So that level of confidence was very similar across the board, if that makes sense. So the level of confidence that their data is representative of the community based on their sample.
That they're gonna do, Roberto Castillo for the record, that they're gonna do the job they're being paid for.
Yes.
Okay.
And that the data will be reliable and worth having for decision-making.
Okay, and I don't know that anybody who's an actual business owner would pitch you anything but solvency. My question isn't even so much solvency or worthwhileness or any of the other functions of what we're trying to do, which you guys so eloquently spend time and effort to put this in front of us. So not trying to beat a dead horse. Again, I'm just trying to assess cost versus reward, and if this is commensurate, is if this is aligned with a normal expense, whether we're a small town or a very large town or a simple town or a very complex town, that if anybody ever asks us, any one of the panel or the whole panel as a whole, 60,000 was a aligned cost for this worthwhile step.
T-Tran for the record. So what's good about the fact that we know that the city of Henderson used this company is it's public record. So we can just dig. But also, I have to say, I used to live in Vegas, and Henderson is kind of the Sparks. Like, it's not the Las Vegas. It's not the, so knowing that they have surveyed a sister city to a larger city with actually a similar demographic, Henderson grew relatively quickly. And it's definitely more suburban, it's definitely more community. There's a lot of similarities with our cities. And so for your question, see, mortgage guy over here. For your question
It's
with
just
the
money. I'm always
the
looking
money,
for- yeah.
it's going to be public record. But I do think that given the size and the population and knowing how RFPs work, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that this is an exorbitant amount that someone is, coming in. It's not like, I don't know how to say it, sorry. But I'm trying to.
That's my only question.
I'm trying to attach it to your bottom line, which is the dollar. And I think that you can find confidence in what they've done and where they've done it. It's not like they went to Peoria or something like that, where it was the population, nothing was similar. There wasn't something that was comparable. So.
And again, if it gives you any comfort, their bid price was not the highest of the bunch.
Roberto Castillo for the record, that's perfect. So is there a way for our next meeting to possibly get that number that was spent in Henderson? Is that within our scope to ask that question?
I can certainly try to find that on Henderson's, on their meeting agendas and such. By our next meeting, I will be able to tell you the pricing for our proposal as well.
That's even fine. Again, I'm not questioning the necessity.
Yeah.
Or if it's a high or low number. I just want to make sure that before we spend the city's money, that we're asking the question, is it aligned with the normal expense to do this thing? So I'm all for the survey and appreciate the effort. And I like, my friend Tran here said, it's overdue, so.
Okay, so can we vote motion to approve?
Roberto Castillo for record, I'd move to approve the recommendation.
Second?
I would like to second, but I don't have the screen again, so.
Oh,
Second by,
I'll do it for you.
okay.
Thank you. All right, Rose Meza for the record, I second to move the recommended ETC Institute as a consultant for the Community Survey Services Project.
It's vote and all supported, so it's passed, result is passing. So we're excited to have this action that's going to help our community. So thank you for your help. Alvaro Diaz, by the record. Okay. So we're going to go next step here. Okay. Item 7.2, consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding a community calendar, including but not limited to brainstorm possible event and suggestions for distribution and maintaining a community calendar.
Thank you again, Chair Diaz and board members. Again, for the record, Allison McCormick. During several meetings of this board, various board members have suggested starting some sort of community calendar where events or cultural celebrations could be shared with the community. This agenda item was intended to provide the board the opportunity to brainstorm events and celebrations that should go on the calendar, how to distribute or share the calendar, how to best maintain that calendar, and other issues that might arise surrounding the establishment of a community calendar. We can certainly brainstorm here tonight, but obviously we have a few empty chairs. So if it is the board's desire to continue this item to the next meeting, we can do that. As an alternative, we could start the brainstorming and then continue it to the next meeting for additional input from your fellow board members. With that, I am happy to answer any questions, or we can start brainstorming, or if someone wants to make a motion to continue it to the next item, whatever the board's pleasure.
Tran for the record, so we don't really have one existing that we could build on?
We have a meeting calendar for
Right.
board and committee meetings. And we have an activity guide through the Parks and Recreation Department that has, all the classes and stuff that they do, as well as some of the big special events. But we don't really have anything that has like Cinco de Mayo festival, those kinds of things that exist. So we do have some possible platforms that we could build on, but we don't have anything that kind of touches on those issues.
Roberto Castillo for the record. So I would just probably mention, I would love to see, I think very simplistically, to look at a regular calendar, just start from scratch. And then I would definitely invite the opportunity for our different community members to maybe be able to let us know if they want to have the city help bring attention to a particular gathering would be a good idea, and I guess a starting off point to include, the members of the Sparks community to have help from the city to at least get the word out. I know money's obviously still a question, but at least the help on the community calendar would be something worthwhile.
Elvira Diaz, by the record. I think, yes, I'd love to involve other community groups, but I would like to start first with Sirius Parks, Sometimes I learn about events in Cedar Parks when I see the posters after happen, and probably for many other people. So let's concentrate first in the events that's going in Cedar Parks. And then, yes, I'm agree with Roberto Castillo that we can invite community members. So my suggestion is, how about in the next meeting, we'll bring ideas of community organizations that we want to invite and start asking all of us, the ones that are not here today, to keep adding in this calendar. And I have a question too. Is this going to cost any cost for the city to maintain the calendar?
It depends. Certainly staff time.
Yes.
But hopefully no, cash cost.
It's going to be a burden for you guys?
It depends how many events there are that we place on it.
I see. Okay, that's what we need to consider also. Thank you.
Rose Meza for the record. Would it be, just a suggestion, would it be easier, considering that the rest of the board members are not here, to have like a Google Calendar, to have like a rough draft where we all begin to add in suggestions, so it's not also a burden for the other members? So everyone could just, in their own time, begin brainstorming, and then when the time comes for the next meeting, we'll have a little bit more of a detailed outline of how to be able to go about a more professional calendar that could be then presented to the community, so to say.
I really like that concept. I probably want to stay away from a shared Google Calendar to avoid any open meeting law concerns, because that would, put essentially everybody together in a quorum. That being said, I think asking everybody in advance of the next meeting to start their own calendar and then share it with me, and I can compile it and we can use that as a starting point. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Teacher, and for the record, so Allison, can we just go ahead and motion to continue this item until the rest of our board comes back?
Absolutely.
Okay, so are we good with that? Okay, thank you. Do I need to be official about it?
Sure, why not?
Yes.
All right, I move to make a motion to continue this item until our next meeting. Yeah, thank you.
Roberto Castillo for the record, I second that.
Oh, sorry, Cindy. Like mumbling over here.
We are.
Yeah, so it's been.
Do it again.
Yeah,
Sorry. T-Tran, for the record, motion to continue this item until the next meeting. Oh, sorry, I gotta move it.
7.2.
All right.
And we approve to continue, let's vote. Okay, so we're going to approve to continue the agenda, so we're going to send each one privately sent to an email with ideas, so it's not, we're in compiles with the city. Thank you. Thank you, Alison, for your help. Okay, so we're going to move item 8, comments for the committee. Any comments? I think we're already finished with comments. Comments? None? Okay.
Actually, yeah. Can I just?
Yes, go ahead, comments. Roberto Castillo.
Actually, the comments is just the title of that item. The first one is request for following, or future agenda items, and then committee member announcements. Okay?
Okay, what's in the agenda, that's why, okay. So, request for new future agenda items?
Oh, I thought you had one.
I'm following Cindy's direction, so I'm good to talk to?
Agenda items.
All right, all right. Hey, so I have coffee at Lighthouse at the marina. Obviously, the city spent a bunch of time and effort to make this beautiful adjustment to that big mound of grass that was there for a long time. it'd be great to maybe have a thing for the board to maybe have an afternoon there to kind of, I don't even know what it is. I haven't never actually,
Oh, at the
Walk.
Veterans Memorial?
yes.
Okay.
And I think it's such a worthwhile thing. Money was spent, effort, designing and everything. And I would say if I don't know too much about it, I'm sure there's a lot of people like myself that don't know much about this big memorial. If there's a possibility of brainstorming, even if a small 15-minute whatever, in front of that thing would be cool.
I will let you know that was actually a private project from a private nonprofit. Councilman Dare is very much involved with the Nevada Veterans Memorial Foundation, and they did private fundraising and they leased the space from the city, but it was constructed using all private donations. But I bet he would be pleased to give this board a tour if you are so inclined.
Elvira Diaz, by the record, piggybacking you, we can kind of also visit the little park. They fixed the park. That's used to be my background park where I go with my son. So I think that would be nice to kind of, like, we're getting back to be in person, kind of, acknowledge the work that Cities Park is doing in the area in the Sparks Marina. So that way we kill two birds with one stone. Thank you.
Chair Diaz, I'm sorry, I didn't hear which park you said.
The little park that is in the marina.
Okay.
All abilities.
Yes,
Okay,
the Village
yeah.
Park. So many people don't know what it is. So we want to do it's very close by, so that way people I think the marina has been well utilized by the community, and they need to understand about the veteran and the park. Thank
Very
you.
good, thank you.
T. Tran for the record. So can we do, you know how council does their council updates? I had talked to Bybee and Anderson, since this was almost kind of their brainchild, this board, and wanted to do like a council update with them. And I, like in a piggyback off their council update, sorry. But I was wondering, should we get Julie in here? I'm trying to figure out what is my agenda item. Can we get Julie Duell, our amazing PR person, in here to maybe help us partner with one of the council members, like just one of us, or I don't care, but you know what I'm saying, to get out on their council update?
Sure. Yeah, no, you're good.
She speaks Tran.
Elvira Diaz, by the record, I would like to get in the new agenda items, NWCP wants to present in here. So if you guys can give me the date that they can come here to present, so they explain about what is NWCP.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
What is that?
Don't very much.
Yeah. That's a new sound. Okay.
Any other new items for the agenda? Okay, then there's none, so we're going to move to the next 8.2. Committee new members announcements. Any announcements?
Oh, I got one. T-Tran for the record. A quick one. There is going to be a grand opening of a new Catholic Charities food pantry. It's May 23rd at 10:30 a.m. And it's 480 East Moana Lane. So they're doing like another resource hub kind of thing over there. So they'll have a food pantry, benefits enrollment, case management, immigration assistance, and some homelessness prevention. So their grand opening is happening that day. So I hope that you guys can come and bring all sorts of fun people with you.
That was 480 East Moana.
480 East Moana.
Thank you.
What date?
That's May 23rd. It's a Tuesday. Oh my God, it's a Tuesday. Tuesday at 10:30. They're calling it the Moana Neighborhood Center. Thank you.
Any other announcement? Okay, there's none. We're going to 8.3 staff announcement.
Madam Chair, I have two. First is that our next meeting will be on Tuesday, June 13th at 5:30, same place. So I hope to see you all then. And then second, we have many jobs that are posted on the city's website, but there's one in particular that I'm especially excited about, and I hope you'll point anyone who may be interested in our direction. It is an HR analyst position, but what we are really hoping that they do is active recruiting, meaning that they would go into the community, connect people with state and federal workforce development funds, any services that they would need to get training to qualify for city jobs, and really break down barriers for people who are from the local community who may not have considered city jobs or might not have thought they could qualify for city jobs. So this is very much not a desk job. So if you know anyone who may be interested or you want to share on your social media, et cetera, the website for that is www.governmentjobs.com/careers/sparks. And that is all that I have this evening.
Thank you very much. It's
Thank
fun
you.
to work for the city, so please apply for that position if you're interested, or share. You seen this in the Facebook, you can share this. So item number 9, any public comments? We have none. So since we don't have any public comments, we're going to adjourn. Thank you.
At 6:26.